Welcome, viewers. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Antique Nomad. My name is George, and I am an antique dealer, appraiser. I conduct estate sales, and I sell at galleries and shows all over the country. And so tonight we're talking about my next show in Packwood, Washington. You can follow me on all social media at the Antique Nomad, and that's Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter. We also will do rebroadcasts on YouTube, and so please subscribe and follow. Thank you for joining us, and as I mentioned, this next weekend, Labor Day weekend, we have the second of the two annual huge flea markets in Packwood, Washington. And Packwood is a really unusual place. It's a little tiny town that twice a year on the backside of Mount Rainier, out in the middle of nowhere, burgeons into this huge flea market all over both sides of Highway 12, and something like 20,000 people show up. And so it's a really crazy, fun event. It's never advertised. You just have to know about it, so now you all do. If you're out that way, come see it. It's really amazing. And it's turned out to be a pretty good place to sell antiques. Thank you for the hearts, everybody. And we're glad to have you with us. And let's show you some of the stuff. I've been in the Midwest shopping and collecting things and doing business here, and it's time to go out to Seattle and get ready for the show. So I'm packing my bags tonight, and let's take a look at some of the stuff we're going to put in them. We'll start with some of the breakables. The way I like to do it is I bring one suitcase, I ship all of my clothes home, and because they're not going to break those. So I put all my breakables and really valuable items in one suitcase. There's certain things packed that I've already shown you in the previous episode, but I will show you a couple of the interesting things that I'm bringing. People are surprised sometimes that you can bring fairly large pieces of glass if you're careful how you wrap them, especially if you're not putting them in the check baggage. This piece of Blenko is tangerine. This is from the 1960s. I went to an estate sale and found two of these. One in tangerine and one in peacock blue. And you can see this one has the original Blenko foil stamp from the 1960s. Hopefully that's focusing. It's a little lag here, so I hope you're able to see that. These were made in West Virginia. They're really beautiful. There's a guy in Seattle who just loves them, and he may come to the show, and if not, he'll go to my antique store there. So those are fun. Some other breakables we found. I like to do a lot of vintage boudoir and things that are kind of more for dresser and special fancy stuff. And I found this really great shell. This is actually Victorian era. Look at the carving on that if you're able. I hope you can see this. There are, it's like Poseidon, and they're riding dolphins, and it is just really crazy, the detail. Yeah, it looks like you can see that pretty well. I may have it sideways, but you get the idea. Anyway, it is a really cool piece. We're going to take that with us. I always carry the sterling with me. I did find a nice pair of Sanborn's candlestick holders. I should hold back where you can see, and then I'll put one up where you can see the mark. This company's been in Mexico since 1903. Mexico is a big silver production area, and actually in the last 20 years or so, Mexican sterling has become very collectible. So we were happy to find those. I've got people who come to that show who are always looking. These are little pieces. I'll try to hold them up where you can see them. Couple of perfumes. This one is what we call a perfume that is for home use. In other words, a decorative perfume bottle. It's got a West German label, so we know that makes it 1980s or prior. And the color in this is what they call Alexandrite glass. And so much like the stone Alexandrite, it changes color depending on the light. If you have this in a natural light, it'll be this strong, a very blue color. And in this light, it's a very purple color under indoor lighting. So that makes it kind of neat because of the color changing properties. This little one, this one is Hermès. And Hermès is, of course, the fancy French company, and they had this bottle made for them by Lalique. The perfume is made for them by Moulinard. And I have a lot of folks who actually look for fragrances and Lalique bottles, so that'll be fun to have. Also in keeping with the theme, got this really pretty pocket mirror here. This is from the 1960s. It's what we call Hollywood Regency, and I'm going to try to see if I've got some comments here. I know some of you are watching, so if you have any comments, please let us know. This particular piece has a really great cherub design on the back, and you can see the gold work, and it's got a nice beveled mirror. And again, that's a piece from the 1960s, very popular now. I also am taking this Limoges tray. I have not actually been looking for Limoges much because, as beautiful as it is, I've been in the business long enough that I watch the prices go way up and then way down. But if you're collecting Limoges, and I've noticed that some of the other people who share their stuff on YouTube and on Periscope actually are getting interested. Younger people are starting to discover Limoges because it really is beautiful. You might be able to see the mark on there. But this hand-painted dresser tray is something that I believe someone will really enjoy, and it was very exciting to see some of the people like Crazy Lamp Lady. If you watch her, she got a whole box full at a flea market and was very excited about it. It's really exciting to me to see people taking that up again because it's beautiful work. We also bought some costume jewelry. At some point we'll do a little tutorial on costume because it's really a fascinating area of collecting. This is Cavalry from the 60s. This one is a knockoff of either Weiss or Juliana from the 1960s as well, but it's got the look with the interesting shaped stones and the bright colors there. So those are things that we take for sort of the feminine side of the booth. Definitely a lot of people looking for boudoir jewelry, that sort of thing at shows, but Packwood is also up in a rural area, so I like to bring a lot of rustic and fun, more country and western type things because that feel does well there too. So with that in mind, first of all, we've got these cap guns. Yeah, really cool. Fun, actually. If you get the blasting caps, which are actually easily found, I mean, you can get caps for cap guns still, and they are fun because they make noise and they make smoke and they're not going to hurt anybody, but they look pretty real. So I always have to put these in the checked baggage wrapped up because otherwise they're going to confiscate them thinking that they're real weapons. So you have to be careful taking these on the plane. But that one was a Hubley from the 1930s. This one is a K, which is a company called Kenton. And that one is also 1920s or 30s. So these are a little older than the 50s we usually see. I also like to, because I've got a box that'll be full of stuff that won't break in shipping, I look for things that are non-breakable but cool and interesting. So we've got these spurs here. Might be hard to read, but on there you're going to see a mark that says 1916 and some other letters. These are actually from the U.S. Cavalry. So during the First World War these would have been issued. So they're over 100 years old and they are military, and that makes them more valuable than if it was the same thing without that. Another thing that I find is, because Seattle's where Boeing is, we get a lot of interest in anything to do with airplanes. So I found this sign, and it's not exactly an airplane thing, but it's for aeroplane stores. And of course, we haven't seen airplane spelled that way since the 1920s or 30s. These actually were put on posts outside of little towns, kind of where the mileage signs were posted, and this was your advertising to get them into the store. I believe these stores actually were based in Georgia originally, so I doubt anyone out west has seen this before, so I think that'll make it interesting for them. Another piece that we have here, along the primitive look, thank you for the hearts too, by the way, it's nice to know you're out there. This piece is neat because it's an Old Spice cabinet. It's made of walnut, it's American, and it's probably about 100 or 110 years old, and they love country primitives really all over the country. But especially out in the mountains of Washington, this will sell immediately, to be honest with you. And so that's kind of a fun and exciting thing for me because I like things that sell fast because then I get to go get more and show you more. Now we're going to get into the other side. I sell a lot of stuff that is memorabilia, especially at the Packwood Flea Market, because we get a lot of people who don't usually go to antique shows because it's a big open to the public flea market. You don't have to pay, you just show up. And so I was looking for advertising related and children's toys. I found a couple of things from the 80s that are 70s and 80s that'll be familiar to some of you. We got one here. This is, of course, is C-3PO. This is from the original Star Wars 1978. He's just a little walking figure, but he's actually pretty good, and he's got all his stuff, all the color, all the decals, and you know, these are worth $8 or $10 now, which is pretty fun considering that they were maybe 50 cents new. Similar in that thing from the early 80s that is coming back are Smurfs. And we've got 3 little Smurfs right there, and well, 2 Smurfs and Smurfette. And so those are kind of fun. And if you're a Snoopy collector, well, we've got this guy. He's a little pencil sharpener up on the doghouse there. Again, a 1970s piece. Again, these are things that kids used, broke, threw away. So they're collectible now because that generation is now looking for their lost toys, and we have some of them. So that'll be cool. Another area of collecting that's really popular, of course, is anything to do with the Beatles and the Fab Four. I've just got a couple of pieces here. This one is a headband. This is original issue from 1964 at the time of the British invasion. And so that's actually something we don't see much. They did a vertical one and a horizontal one. They're both worth about $40 to $50 each. And then we also have, again from 1964, the British invasion, I'm for Beatles. This pin is a little harder to find. It's actually worth about $15 for a little thing that somebody probably wore once and put in a box and forgot all about. So that's kind of cool. Moving on to other little things that people like, we've got the hydroplane pin. This is Miss Budweiser from about 1970 when that hydroplane won 3 championships in a row. Seattle has just had their big hydroplane race for the year. They've been doing it since the 1950s, I believe. There's several cities around the country that do the hydroplane races, so there's interest in that in a lot of specific areas depending where you go. Lighters sell well, and of course this is something also, as long as they don't have fluid, they'll let you check these through. This one is from an iron company from the 1960s, has an interesting logo. And thank you. I see a comment from the moderator, and thanks for watching, but I'm not getting comments from anyone else, so I think something's wrong with our feed, and I apologize. It's probably an operator error. This gold sort of camouflaged one is a neat one too from about 1970, and they're great when they're mint and haven't been used, and people really like them. And I have a guy who comes to this show. He buys a few at the beginning, other people buy them, and then he comes at the end and buys everything I have left every single show. So those probably won't last long. You also look for railroad stuff, and I found just a little. These are leg straps from the Illinois Central Gulf. I like taking things with railroads, people don't necessarily just want where they live, they want where they were from, or they just find it interesting and they want stuff from all over the country. So this isn't specific to an area. It's got the Illinois Central Gulf logo on it from the 70s, which was a railroad tie sliced to look like an eye. And these were to keep your pants from getting caught in things. And we know what year these are from because it says safety in 77. So these are late 70s before the railroads all merged and went away. Also look for pocket knives. Again, these are things you can put in your checked baggage that you can't take on the plane. These are just some celluloid European novelty ones, I believe from places in Germany. Hopefully you can see those. But I also do a lot of serious pocket knives, and so I have a case full, and it's nice to put them all together and have fresh stuff. Another advertising piece, this ashtray. This is from 1976. This is about the end of advertising tire ashtrays. They started in the 1930s as a promotion, and they made them all the way until I think about the 70s or early 80s. And this one's Goodrich Silvertown, and the fact that it's bicentennial means it was made a short time. So that's a collectible piece too. And also from the railroad, Danger 600 volts. This is a big heavy brass plaque, and they do like things that came off of railroad engines, and this is one of them. 600 volts is because of the diesel electric engines, I think, that came in the 1950s. So this is something that someone will enjoy for sure who knows what it is, and they'll spot it and walk right up. A couple of other things. Oh, this is kind of fun. Let's take a look at this. This is a Swatch watch. Does anyone remember how popular these were? Did any of you have one? Show me if you've got one. And then this here is a 1980s type, but what's interesting is it's got the old safety ring and the second one that they made that was better. The old safety ring itself alone sells for $15 or $20 on eBay. This watch is probably worth $45 or $50. Not all Swatch watches are collectible, but a lot of them are now. So if you still have some in a drawer, take them out and take a look. You might be surprised. And a couple other things. Packwood's an outdoor show, so sometimes I'm a little reluctant about paper items, but this one is so cool and it's got a nice plastic sleeve, so I'm going to give it a try up there. This one, if you look at the signature is Hubert Humphrey. And Hubert Humphrey, we'll flip this so you can see him, of course, was the nominee for president in 1968 when they had the huge riots at the Democratic National Convention, and he ended up losing to Nixon. And this was what he did afterwards. He became a spokesman and a sponsor for various things. This happens to be for Encyclopedia Britannica, and he signed it to someone who contributed to Encyclopedia Britannica. So this is definitely collectible. Presidential signatures always are. And even presidential hopeful signatures always are. And then the last thing I'm going to show you before we go and finish the packing, because I've got to get that done, I leave in the morning, is this. Early Playboy magazines, definitely collectible. This one is dated June of 1963, and the reason it's particularly sought after is because it has Jane Mansfield. And it was a big shock to a lot of people when she appeared in Playboy, although actually when everyone got to know her as a celebrity, it was less of a shock. Interesting thing about Jane Mansfield, when she died 4 years later in that car accident, her wig got caught in the accident, and that's why people said that she was decapitated. That is not true. It was sad that she left us, but it wasn't as horrible as all that. Early Playboy is very collectible. We'll show you as much as we're allowed of Miss 1963. Anything before 1968 is particularly collectible, and these can sell anywhere from $15 or $20. The Jane Mansfield goes for more. And of course, the first one with Marilyn Monroe, that one goes for, gosh, $150 to $250 easily, depending on the condition. So these are definitely collectible, and don't just throw them away if you find a big pile in Uncle Tom's old basement when you go to clean out. With that, I want to thank you again for joining us. I'm sorry that I couldn't see the comments and respond better, but please feel free to message me through Twitter or one of the other places. I'm at the Antique Nomad on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. And there will be a rebroadcast of this on YouTube as well. And I will just say goodbye from now. And from Georgia to Seattle we go.